So Dana White spoke to John Morgan. By the way, shouts to John Morgan after a long tenure at MMA Junkie. Is now, it looks to me like the head guy in charge over at mixedmartialarts.com. Their forum is known as the Underground. So Dana spoke to John Morgan through that. Now, he was asked about Conor McGregor, and he was asked about title shots and how this is all going to play out. Here is what Dana said in response to the question about whether or not Conor's going to get a title shot when he comes back. Quote, "It's going to depend on who the champion is. The champion has some say in that too. Who's going to be the champ when Conor McGregor comes back, or what do they want to do? If you look at Oliveira, right, if it's still Oliveira by the time he comes back, maybe Oliveira wants Conor. Who knows? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. There's a lot of variables that have to come together for him to come back and fight. Number one is health. How's his leg? Then once that's at 100%, we'll start to figure out where he goes, because a lot of these, we have fights, this is key, BC, already made through June 18th already. Once he's 100% ready to go, we'll get him figured out, and we'll see what's what with the lightweight division, and we'll get him figured out. BC, here's my read on this. Tell me if I'm wrong. He's not saying that Conor is necessarily the next person to get a title shot, because the calendar might fill up before they can make all that work. But what he is saying is, doesn't matter, because by the time Conor does come back, if the champ wants it, you bubbas would be crazy to think we're not going to make it.
For, like, you know, I could either quote Nate or I could just tell you straight up, I fucking told you. And you meaning the ethosphere and everyone who DMs me all the time and says, DC, stop riding Conor's nutsack and bringing up his name. There's no freaking chance that injured, washed guy coming off two stoppage defeats is going to get the next title shot. And like I tell them, and like I always say, Luke, good. I mean, are you kidding me? You can never put this past or underestimate the UFC. And you could also, Luke, argue, separate from, rankings and meritocracy, they'd be dumb not to consider this exact same thing. But it's of course it's in play. And, let's say as much as, like, that's why I'm saying with the Islam Makhachev thing, it's like, don't do them any favors, especially in where we are right now in fighter pay, and maybe some of the advances that could be coming if people are still bold, or if there's just going to be some type of fall off from Ngannou being so bold. And you can argue Adesanya seems to be very happy following that Ngannou situation. So, keep posted to that. But even in this era, I just don't think Islam should be giving that away. But you see right here, why? Because they could just as hell screw you on the back end. So if Oliveira beats Gaethje, Oliveira. Everybody wants to fight Conor, especially now when he's deemed vulnerable. They'd fight him anyway, no matter what, for the opportunity and the money and you're a made man, Okay, Luke, let me ask you this. Can I, Luke? Can I ask you something?
Please.
The lifetime reputation and respect Nick Diaz has. It's almost impeccable. Like, fans love him. But is Nick Diaz like 100% a crossover name in every sports fan's mind and eyes?
No.
I can argue no. Let me flip that around and say Nate Diaz. If he hadn't fought Conor, forget twice, but ever, in what were two of the three biggest pay-per-views in UFC history, dude, he's what is he? I don't want to say he's nothing. What is he right now, Luke? What is he? He's not a household name, dude, right? I mean,
No,
it's
he's
obvious.
not. No, he's not. He needed those, yes.
So that's not some revelation. Okay, BC, that's stupid, but you get the point. So, yeah, man, I mean, I want to just hedge this a bit and be fair, because I've been told, shout out Brandon Wise and CBS Sports, that if you listen to the audio in the John Morgan interview, it's not as strong from Dana as the pull quote would make you think.
Yeah, but it's not a denunciation. Like, dude, when does, like, the fact that he's hedging tells you he's hedging.
Right. And also, look, he summed it up. I saw part of his interview with Aaron Bronstetter where Dana just looked, tired and exasperated he was mentioning the Ukraine situation and everything going on. And he was just like, look, everyone's always asking me what's next for Conor. He's like, I don't even know what's going to happen, 3 months from now. And I think it's just his way of saying, like, you can ask me and I can answer, but, like, I don't really know. But with that said, Luke, of course they will do this. Of course they would. And it doesn't matter if Oliveira or Gaethje wins. And, like, we joke back and forth. I think you and I and Mikey Mormile, our producer, just had like a text stream of going, it's like, okay, here's how Islam can get a title shot. If only Dana can convince Khabib to come back for one more fight, and then we can guarantee Islam a title shot. And it's like, the UFC, of course, would bend over backwards to do Khabib Conor 2 in any form and situation. It's the biggest selling fight in MMA history by frickin' far. It's two of the greatest of all time. It's got a hatred rivalry that really at times can make John Jones and Cormier look like they're, best buddies. But Luke, the next best thing of that would have to be Conor McGregor stumbling back into the lightweight title and fighting unbeaten Islam Makhachev with Khabib in his corner. Dude, that's the next best scenario for the UFC. Hell yeah, it is, Luke.
Dude, it's like if you're the UFC, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Who else, depending on who's champion, Justin, Charles, you name it, who else, assuming they beat Conor, is going to be that transformative for them anywhere? Like, if you are the UFC and you're looking at Conor's long-term potential, it's not super significant at this point. Obviously, what he's done has been arguably the most significant, and it would be foolish to discount his chances, but I doubt his best days are ahead. I doubt that, right? Well, some good days potentially, but he's going to match or exceed what he did at UFC 205. I find that very hard to believe. His best days are behind him. And so if you're thinking about the UFC long-term, either A, Conor being champion is great for you, right? That's just a fucking win. Or someone beating Conor is also good for you. In all of these cases, putting Conor in that mix, there is still, however much the value equation has changed about exactly why they want to fight Conor. Yes, money, of course, has been preeminent and will remain preeminent, but there's also a few other reasons why they want to do it. Even though some of those have shifted around in certain places, the overall picture, BC, is quite clear. It is still extremely valuable for champions to want to fight him. It is still extremely valuable for the UFC to want to make these fights. The fans won't in totality, certainly, or even in large numbers. They won't revolt. So I ask, whether you like these facts or whether you don't like these facts, what is the mechanism by which they will be stopped? I don't see it.